Okay, today's date is Wednesday, June 10th. I'm going to be reviewing the trade I took today and yesterday. Let's get into yesterday's trade first. Why is this not updating on both sides? Yesterday's trade was not that ideal, honestly. Um, we come up and we sweep these highs here. And then we come down here. This is a 4-hour gap. Let's switch. I'm reviewing yesterday's and today, so the chart markup is not going to be as good. Here's the 4-hour gap on NQ. On ES, it's 4-hour equilibrium. As far as the 1 hour is concerned, the 1 hour is starting to break into a downtrend. I expected us to um, put in this, and then continue higher, and that just did not happen. Kind of came up, swept this high, came down here. I was expecting sweep these lows and continue up. Like I said, the 4-hour wasn't an uptrend. The only thing that was bad was the 1 hour. The 1 hour was in a downtrend. You can see, obviously, I got smoked. I went long on this, right? What an idiot. I tweaked my strategy. I'm not going to be executing off the 2-minute. So deep into market open. Like, this is past 10:30 when I took this trade. So filled this gap. NQ ended up inversing this gap, and then once we closed above these highs, I longed on ES. Stops here. First take profit was, I think, at equilibrium somewhere around here. Got smoked. So, like I said, I reviewed my trade, especially I reviewed my trade after 10:15 a.m. I do not do well on the 2-minute. I think it's because markets end up getting so choppy. The 2-minute candles end up getting so small that a bunch of fake outs happen on them. If you don't understand what I'm saying and you don't understand what that means, let's take a look here. Look how big these 2-minute candles are. This is the 2-minute chart. Look how big these 2-minute candles are. And we'll go full screen on ES. These candles are huge here, and then past 10:15, look how small these candles end up getting. These candles end up getting way smaller. Okay, this is just a brief example. Obviously some days are different. Our main move today was past 10:30. So today I am not happy with how I traded. Break even day for me today, and I'll explain exactly what happened. 5-minute market structure break on this candle, so I'm looking for shorts. Going in, the 4 hours in a downtrend. Going in, I wanted actually longs up here. Couldn't get longs. I wanted shorts down to here. I ended up taking a trade, but ended up getting stopped out at break even. I do not like how I performed today. This candle close, I was especially looking for shorts, and I was thinking to myself, on the 3-minute, we filled this 3-minute gap, and we filled this 3-minute gap here and closed lower. This is where I should have entered. Stops here. First take profit. First take profit could have been here. Could have been at these data lows. I mean, full take profit would probably be here. That's where I should have executed. But you know what I was telling myself? I said, and this is like where trading gets difficult because everything's so subjective, right? I was saying, okay, I'm just going to wait for the retrace on the 5-minute. Be patient, be patient, be patient, be patient. And the retrace on the 5-minute never ended up coming. If the retrace would have came, right now I'm telling myself I should have just executed. If the retrace would have came, I would have said, "Oh, I'm so glad I'm a patient trader." So everything's so subjective, you know, and these parts of trading is kind of when it messes with your head, you know. Should I have just waited? Or did I do the right thing by waiting and being patient and missing my trade? Or should I have just executed? Well, obviously right now I'm saying I should have just executed. Um, and honestly, that is probably what I should have done. So, but you could understand how it could. There's two sides of this coin, you know. I could have said, I'm glad I'm a patient trader, and yeah. So, anyways, that's the trade I should have taken, and I ended up going short off of this with stops like here, with first take profit like here. Um, and you know what happened? We ended up hitting this data low. We ended up hitting this 830 CPI was today. We ended up hitting this 830 data low, and then we inverse this gap. And you know what I told myself? I said, I'm not willing to take on the risk anymore. I'm not willing to hold through this. So I pulled my stops. And if you can see right here, there she is. That's the one that did it. Break even. So super unfortunate. Where would my second? I would have took 2/3 of position off here, left 1/3 here for running. Yeah. Overall, I think I need to just not hesitate and execute more. Um, and yeah, I'm kind of disappointed in myself that I didn't just take the trade. You know, a lot of people have problems with over trading. Not to say that I don't, but I also have a lot of problems with under trading. And some people say, you know, it's always better to just take less trades. Well, sometimes, let's say if I took one trade a month, you know, then you're just leaving money on the table. So obviously there's a line to where you should take, you know, you shouldn't overtrade, but you shouldn't undertrade either, because undertrading can definitely leave money on the table, like I did here today. So, and then yesterday, well, I tweaked my strategy to where I'm not taking trades past 10:15 on the 2 minute. But yesterday, you could argue maybe I was overtrading a bit, but yesterday was not really overtrading. Yesterday was more just I needed to tweak my strategy a little bit, and I've been feeling that way for a while. That executing off the 2 minute deep into market open is not good for me. Um, yeah, let me think if there's anything else. Not much else. Should have just taken this trade off the 3 minute. Should have just executed, and because that does follow my strategy, and I didn't, and that feeling sucks. Honestly, I don't feel um, it doesn't hurt or anything. I mean, slightly, but you know, once you end up trading long enough, none of this shit really. You're just to the point where you don't even give a fuck. So that's kind of how I am. I don't even give a fuck. I'll be trading tomorrow. So, but at the same time, you know I have to learn from this. So, um, anything else? Uh, PPI tomorrow. Trading Friday. Next week, I will be on vacation, but I will still be trading. But I'm going to be only using OCO orders. One cancels other, and I will not be using multiple take profits. Just in case I happen to lose Wi-Fi or something like that. I do not want to, and I have a lot of accounts too. I have a lot of accounts, so I do not want to mess up at all and have anything go wrong. So full take profits or full stop loss or full break even next week. So that should be interesting. And honestly, I kind of been wanting to play around with that too, just because it gets so annoying taking partials when you have a bunch of accounts. I use Tradecopia, so it's a little easier, but Tradecopia isn't it's hard copy trading on different accounts with different values and taking partials um, with different contract sizes. This may be gibberish, but if you have a copy trader, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, um, hmm, let's think. Anything else? Uh, um, I've been. This is gonna sound like I'm retarded. But I've been even more so recently. This is gonna sound so stupid. Like I already knew this. I didn't just find this out to be clear, but I've been looking more at how much and where the market displaces strongly. Like this is a strong displacement, right? And then yesterday was even let's even look at the 2 minute. Even though I said this is past the 2 minute, let's look at the 3. This is good displacement, okay? Especially once the market starts closing down below here, below this. This is good displacement right here. Versus yesterday, I should have been taking off the 3 minute. I told you guys I changed my strategy, but yesterday, this isn't even, this is not the same. So I've been looking at that and really, really, really been keeping my eye and paying close attention on how much displacement we're getting from what zones. I know one thing I can add to. I have also been looking at a 5 minute inverse fair value gap strategy that I am adding. I used to have something similar to it. I called it a 5 minute order flow. Maybe I took some trades off that in some old videos. This is specifically 5 minute inverse fair value gap. Sometimes the difference is the 5 minute order flow. I was using 79% extension and stuff like that, and I still use that sometimes. Not that actual specific strategy, just I still use 79% extension on the fib to determine whether a trend has been invalidated, basically. But the 5 minute fair value gap strategy specifically, and here yesterday was actually on, a day late, a dollar short. Story of my fucking life. Here we go. Here's a perfect strategy. Here's a perfect. This is like textbook for the strat. I didn't execute this yesterday. Actually, this might not be textbook because we have this gap here, but um, ignore this gap from yesterday. I think I was thinking about this strategy yesterday, but inverses this gap, and then for those of you who don't know, once this gap gets inversed, this also acts as a balance point. Price likes to rebalance off of this. You see price draw back up into this gap on this candle, and then sends us lower. So I would be this strategy is 5 minute inverse, rebalance back into the gap or equilibrium, okay, and then continuation. We inverse this gap on the 1 minute, and then we inverse it back down to the downside. Stops here, and then your target can be anywhere in here, wherever you like. So, and you can even pull your stops however you like to do it. But so that's the strategy. Like I said, I don't know if it would work yesterday because you have this gap here. I would it's tough. But yeah, that's the strategy. 5 minute inversion, 5 minute retrace of some sort, whether it's into the IFVG, into another normal fair value gap, or equilibrium, and then shorts after that. Let's see if there's another example. And to be clear, I've used this strategy before. I stopped using it. I'm not actually going to get into the details, but I have used this strategy before, and then I stopped, and I think I'm going to start using it again. I changed some things. Some things are a little different, but here's a good day. opens. This is actually isn't that good. I guess you could use this actually because of this gap here. Inverse this top gap, taps back into it. Continuation. This isn't a great example, honestly, but you get the idea. Whatever. There might be, I think on NQ on this day it's better, and same for the other one too. But yeah, let me think if there's anything else. I think that's it. 3-minute executing. Really need to stop hesitating. I hesitated today. Gosh, that just drives you crazy once you think about it. Good thing I have short-term memory loss, so I can just not even think about that. Anyways, that's it. I'll be trading tomorrow.